everybody, and welcome to this Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board for Thursday the 16th of May. I will ask member Tyler Banda to open the karakia.
Ki te mahi me te ngā kau oaha me te whakamahi I ngā pukengia me te mātauranga I roto I ngā wānanga me ngā whakatonga kia whakatūria ai te tahi hapore e matatikai ana e tū kotahi ana ka mutu ka whakapiki o anō I te oranga o tō tātou rohi ka whakatau anō I ngā take o te rohi I runga I te tika me te pono.
Yeah, just like to bow your heads for a minute's silence. We had a very tragic accident in Russell yesterday that took a very well-loved, widely known Bay of Islands identity by the name of Tim Grant. Most of us knew him as Stick, and I just would like to acknowledge his passing. So if we could just take a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you. I have apologies from members Roddy Papatina and Amy Slack. I will move. Do I have a seconder? That's Tyler. And our first up deputation this morning is from. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. You conflict.
I've got a conflict of interest in regards to the Blue Islands information.
Item 7.2, right? So Tyler just declaring a conflict with the funding application for the Bay of Islands Blue Islands. Right, so I vote as apologies for that conflict. Tyler second. I have to get all this cool. Okay, let's carry. Thank you. Right, moving on. Our first deputation is from Adele Davies, who's representing the Kawakawa RSA in relation to a request for an additional flagpole at the RSA. So you've got 5 minutes to address us. Would you like to come forward? Thank you. I believe your husband was going to do it. Was it Hector and Mr. in Australia? So good, we're not scary. Just come forward. Yeah, where's the best place to stand? Just between the two tables here. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so my name's Adele Davies and I'm the club manager for the Kawakawa RSA. And for a long time now, we've been trying to get another flagpole down at the Senator where we do the dawn parade and civil service and Armistice Day, so we can fly the Australian flag alongside the New Zealand flag. And all I've got here is just a couple of photos of where we want the flagpole placed. I don't know whether I'm pass those around, but that's kind of all I know. Oh, you've got copies. Oh, okay. Nice and fast.
So I'll just open up for questions if you're happy with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I noticed that the costume on that flagpole, you want to duplicate the same that's there?
Yes.
And is there a cost in that?
But I know we're willing to help pay for whatever the cost is.
Chair. Have you approached DIA as well for some support for funding? Department of Internal Affairs.
No, well, we've ceased our gaming machines now, so we can't do any
But they also do all
department.
They do the all grapes. All the grapes.
Department of Internal Affairs, no.
Which department does that?
It's the RSA, the Return Servicemen's Association of Manatee.
Just to clarify, this is going on a council reserve, so I don't think the request was necessarily that you're here for funding, as it is for permission and request that council install the flagpole on the RSA reserve.
So you're looking for approval?
Yes.
And the procured location, is it right next to the
It's right
existing
next
one?
to the other one.
Okay. So would that require another concrete base?
Yeah.
Is this also where the art shows are currently being?
So the archway's just in front of
This one
it.
here, Tom?
Yes.
Did you get a good turnout for our day?
We had 120 odd for breakfast and then 150 for morning tea. So,
I'm going to Kalakaua.
We don't have your local representative, Roddy, here today.
yeah, I see that.
To speak to this and support you, but I'm sure I can speak with Mr. Paul at and support what you're wanting to do, to fly the Australian flag alongside, and I'm assuming what council would require would just be a plan depicting where you would like to put it. If you're wanting us to assist in funding, you would have to formally apply through Catherine at the end of the table there, put in a community grant fund application. If you would like us to consider cost sharing, it's not a given, but if you into that, you need to run more specifics with costs and design. But Catherine can advise you on that. Anything else?
Great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time coming to present. So I've got Wariti Paro here. Me Wariti, I know you have to get away for something else, so we'll take you first. You're here to represent Ngāti Rāhui and Māori Committee in relation to funding application for the one on the Matariki 2024. It's on page 57 of your agenda. It's on the hot spot.
Tēnā rā tātou. Anei te mihi atu, kia tātou ko oi hui mai nei, tōrani a tēnā o tātou whare. Mihi atu kia koe, e te kaituku kākia ki tō tātou matuni te hangi, ki te atu nei, ki te ora kia koe. Oino, ka tuku atu me tahi mihi kia koe Tim. Ko hoki atu ki a hiri ni te pō. I mua, te take o te mate, kei noi a tātou I tēnei wā. Nā reiro. Hoki atu kia rātou mā. Taka ia ngā tapu ai o rātou mā, ko hoki atu kia hini ni te pō. Emui. 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 Ai hoki atu. A hoki mai kia tātou te kanui o hā. Ka mihi atu kia koutou, e kahana ki te haka haere e nei mahi ara mō tātou. Ngā hunga ora I roto I tō tātou. Hapu. E te kaituku krākia rongo hau o a kupu, I mahi ana koutou I nei mahi, I mō te tika te pono me te aroa. Anei te mihi atu kia koe, I runga taku Opu I koe, I runga te whenua, e rapa ana e na kupu ki re koi a hau. Nā reira ka mea atu kia koe pia ati kia koe Brenda e toko koe. Nā reira, kuri noa tu tātou pare, pahuri. I just want to say thank you, Belinda and the board, for receiving us today. Thank you to our board member that sent us mihi. Here to our Heavenly Father, because for some of us, for starting the day, it's the most important thing that we do during the day. So I want to thank you for that. And also, send condolences to Tim and for their tragic passing. And bid him farewell on his journey back to our Creator, and condolences also to his family. So, without further ado, as I know I've only got 5 minutes, I just want to also lead to kaumata kuia that we have lost in our community, in our rōpū, te kāpū kaumata rōpū ki Waitangi. Just recently we have lost 2 members of our rōpū, like back to back. So we buried one on Thursday, and Saturday, the same week, we lose another. So I'm not going to get emotional. I can do things, but I can't get emotional over that because the application that we have sent in, we were committing to for the community board to consider actually reversing the celebration of their lives with Matariki. And we all know what Matariki is about. It's about the celebration of a two that significantly plays a part in our well-being and how we respond back to during those times. So it has been a tough time for us, our Kāwi Kaimata, and I'm still trying to process the shock of that happening and how surreal it was. But I just want to give you a little bit of historic background about our orphan. When that happened, we didn't have time to do it. We were a rōpū that have expectations of ourselves in terms of executing Te Reo Māori. So when our first kaumata died, his name is James Harari, we staged his whole tangi at his house in Waitangi because Auntie couldn't take him to the they didn't have the financial resources to take him to the to hold a 3-day tangi. So she decided, and we gathered around him to support her to hold him lying in state at his house in Waitangi. So our rōpū was responsible for staging it, and they're setting it all up. And with the support of our local marae, we were able to do that. Welcoming and hosting manuhiri, and I don't just mean Māori, they lived in our community for quite some time, so there were other cultures that came along to receive that hosting and reciprocation of the tikanga that we execute when we lose a loved one. So we did that for 3 days. And as a rōpū, we didn't even get to celebrate his life because we were too busy doing other things. So he was taken to Whangaroa to be buried in, he's buried in one of the waitapu, it's called Kaikinigini in Whangaroa. And so our rōpū then became split. Some had to stay behind and prepare the kai for our return, and some had to take that journey with him to give him over to our whānau and hapu in Whangaroa. So anyway, we came back and grateful to our marae because they allowed us to use the wharekai resources to be able to cook a meal together. So that's a description of one tangi we staged, and the other one, when they passed on the Saturday, we did the same thing. And with the support of our marae, they came together and gave us the resources to be able to stage it. Anyway, we took that kuia back up to the Hokianga. Unfortunately, she was able to lie on the marae for one night, but actually her whānau wanted her at home because she lived in our community for over 20 years. So she didn't actually live that night, but anyway, as it was, we took her back, and the same thing happened. Our roofu was split, some had to stay behind and pay kai and others. So, what I mean by this short story is we didn't get to celebrate their lives in our community because we were too busy doing this. So when we had a meeting, and in that meeting we realised that Matariki is upon us, and that's to go to those particular areas and celebrate them, their lives, and also celebrate Matariki as our schedule and our proposal. There's a couple of things in that proposal that I just want to bring to light with you, because I was looking on the Thursday the 27th, and I'm like, Marakai, because there's kaupapa tupua mupu, which is Marakai. So Frances, the lady we took back to the Hokianga, at the back of her home in Waitangi is a garden as big as half the size of a rugby field. So when she passed, her family allowed, they said to us, there's kumara in there galore, there's kai in there galore, please go and support yourself. So the kumara are just about ready to be dug up, and that will feature as part of the marakai that we will share with one another up in Hokianga. And there's a couple of other things like we are a rōpū that attends the Ngāpuhi Treaty Claims. So the reports have been released by the tribunal. So in some of our meetings we have discussions about those reports, and it's a time for us to come together and reflect on we're taking this journey. Also, we'll be going to see Papa James, who's in Whangaroa, and also on the 28th, we have invited the immediate family, the two deceased immediate family, to come and celebrate and share in the celebration of Matariki with us in Hokianga, and term that as Whakapanangitanga. And also the marae in the Hokianga, and those who are responsible for taking care of our loved ones and bearing them in their way. So, and the other thing is, at the bottom of this, it's been written at 6:30 that we're going to have waiata. Well, we'll actually have put together a waiata book, so waiata will be our head every step of the way during this journey. So I'm now at your disposal if there's any questions that you would ask.
Thanks, Valerie. Is everybody clear what this application is about? So it's assisting taking Kuia and Kaumātua to these sites over Matariki to celebrate the lives of the lost ones that you couldn't make. So in your request is for $5,841. The recommendation has come through to us to fund 2,266, which is for the of the rental vehicle to transport those family representatives.
It'll be the kaumata queer in our community, the Kawi Kaupata. At large, it would be those ones that attended the hui here that we came to introduce ourselves. Okay.
So just curious, how many of I can't remember, you had a number of 6 or 8 of you here?
There's about 8 of us in total.
We will be doing this typically preparing, because it sounds like it's a holiday, which is not. But this visiting the various key Urupa to acknowledge remembering the loved ones.
It's actually, for us, it's remembering them and also celebrating their lives, because we didn't get a chance to do it. What we did was stage their tangi at their houses.
So this is bringing their lives to light.
It's difficult with the large ones to renovations.
All of that.
Believe that we could use Spotify, but
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I really do appreciate them, Belinda, allowing us resources. Also, we could get tables and chairs from them, and they were willing to do that. They were very supportive, but still at the end of the day, it's human resources that you need to be able to host something like that. So if you can imagine, as 5 times the capacity at the night. Yeah. But they didn't have, it's come out of where it didn't have really financially suited to take their loved ones to them like that. We still tried to come to terms with, actually we all are horrible driving past their homes and knowing that they're not there, can't go forward and see them. Okay, well, I think I've done my 5 minutes.
You've done more than that, but clearly believe you are. No more questions? No questions? Okay, we'll make our decision later in the meeting.
Yeah, sure, Belinda. Again, thank you everyone for listening to, giving me an opportunity to present. And coming here today, because anybody's not here, she's not well, so she had to stay home. So in coming here, I was thinking, please don't break down. Please don't get emotionally, but I think I just want to thank the councillor, the board member that did that today, because I think we put me in good stead to be able to present today, because it's something that's really important that I feel we need to do to carry out our days. So on that note, lovely to see you all, Catherine. I'll see you at Koikoi tomorrow. same kaupapa. Yeah. I'll be presenting at Bay 1. Koikoi tomorrow. Right, thank you again for your time and your consideration. Kia ora.
Right, next up we have a virtual, we've got somebody waiting online, Sarah Byron, is it, representing Living Theatre Charitable Trust in relation to the funding application for Bad Jelly the Witch. It's on page 41 of your agenda, with the additional information on page 1.
Kia ora koutou. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
Great. Would you like me to start?
Please, thank you.
Kia ora koutou, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to the board today. We are Living Theatre Charitable Trust. We're the charitable arm of the Glow Show company. We take giant-scale glow-in-the-dark puppet shows to Tamariki through New Zealand, and this year we had the stage rights to bring Bad Jelly the Witch to New Zealanders, and we're starting our tour in Kerikeri at the wonderful Turner Centre, and that's at the end of, sort of over Matariki, but it's not necessarily part of Matariki Festival, which we'd love it to be. But the idea of a glow show is that children are very immersed because it's so magical. It's all ultraviolet, so you don't see any of the performers, you only see the characters. Spike Milligan wrote the book 50 years ago for his daughter Jane, who's now 57. and we're putting our own glow-in-the-dark slant on Bad Jelly the Witch, which we have in association with Play Market, which hold the rights to Bad Jelly the Witch. So it's a very special time for us to be able to bring this. So it's not just for nostalgia. There are many parents and, of course, children can recite the whole book. We'd love to bring the joy and delight of this to Kirikiri on the 8th of July this year. There are 9 of us on the road. We're looking for some support towards some of our production costs, which you can imagine funding is very tight at the moment. And we are a well-oiled machine, and we are high impact, low footprint. So we don't have massive costs with light rigs or set pieces. It's all in the puppetry, which range from half a metre to several metres in height. And we would love to hear what you have to say now. Any questions? I'm just aware that the time's marching on. Yeah.
That's fine, Sarah. Thank you. Yes, I'll open the floor for questions. Questions? No?
Chair, I guess if you didn't get the full amount of funding, does that impact your plan in any way?
Honestly, we have to adjust all the time. You can imagine you're very mindful of what's happening out there at the moment with funding. Any amount at all would help us. We heavily rely on our funding to underwrite, and then ticket sales on top of that will help pay for the rest. So we have done this. We've got a very robust system that we work to. So I can confidently say that we can definitely come to Kirikiri and make this happen. It just makes it harder for us as the tour goes on. That's all, you know. I wanted to show you the book. This is the original Bad Jelly, the book, which was written by Spike Milligan. See, he's in his handwriting. And there's a book that's come out that's the 50th anniversary book, which is a hard copy, which we're going to be gifting to a couple of children as prize giving. So prizes for colouring in competitions through your Northland libraries. We also wanted to say that this really does inspire children to read and write and want to make puppetry. So that's a huge part of why our kaupapa and why we do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Oh, I have a question here.
I'm sorry, I may have missed it in the thing. What is the charge for children going to this show?
So we're trying to do it in group bookings. So the prices range from $17.50 to $35. That's across the board. We've got $27 for children who are over 7 years of age. It's not a preschool show. The show is nearly an hour long. So we've got 10% right off the top of that goes to the royalty from box office. Yeah.
Thank you.
No? There being no further questions, Sarah, thank you for your time, and we will make our decision a bit later in the meeting, and Kate Kiln will be in touch with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. We have the very patient Jerry Hall and residents representing the Turner Centre in relation to funding application for Brew of Islands 2024. And just note, remember Tyler Amber has removed himself from the table.
Morena kia koutou, no mai haere mai ki te Turner Centre anō. Good to have you all back, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Today I am in front of you requesting support towards Brew of Islands Festival, which is happening on the 26th and 27th of July.
Oh, page 53.
So just over a year ago, we set out to create a distinctly far north event. We wanted to create an event that makes the Bay of Islands a more vibrant place to live. We wanted to showcase the amazing food, beverage and the ngākitanga that exists up here in Taitokoro, particularly the far north. We wanted to create out of season event that really supports our local businesses. And we also wanted an event that sort of appeals to the younger people in our community, but also gets together a diverse mix in our community for a happy occasion. The positive response to 2023 festival was amazing. We had great support from the police, from all the district licensing. It was an amazing crowd. In fact, a couple of quotes from the breweries that came up. One Urbanot from Tamaki Makoto said they were the most polite and well-mannered audience they've ever met at a beer festival, which is we're really proud of. We also had Parrot Dog from Wellington say it was in the top 3 beer festivals he's ever been to. We sold 1,850 tickets last year and had 2,200 in attendance with our sponsors, etc. 43% of the attendees came from out of town, so outside of Kirikiri, and 26% from outside of the far north, so from outside of a district. So that's 970 people came into Kirikiri from outside and 585 from out of the district. 26% of people required at least one bed night. All the local accommodation was full. In fact, this year already, I'm trying to get some extra rooms for people yesterday. I rang up Stay Kirikiri and then another couple of places. They said, sorry, we're already all booked out from that weekend, for that weekend. As well as that, all the local hospitality businesses, cafes, pubs, all said they were flat out that weekend. Denny, my barber, Denny Harden, he said 2 weeks ago when I went in for a haircut, he said, geez, that's the most talked about event we've ever had in Kirikiri. Nearly a couple of times a week still, a year on, people are still talking about it. So, and I did a quote from Say Kirikiri, just wanted to let you know what a roaring success the weekend was. We had 2 groups of whangarei and booked most of the rooms for the whole weekend. They had an absolute ball and great to see out-of-towners being attracted to Kirikiri. Ngāti Rei here provided whakatau at the beginning. Actually, Kamatua Waitai, who's no longer with us, but it was a really beautiful moment, and we had all of our signage bilingual as well. That was a big part, really trying to showcase the North and our culture as well. We had local bands, DJs, which have also got programmed for this year. Local food suppliers, Mrs. Muscle Fritters, who you'll know from the market. Hawthorne Fine Foods, we've got the Coles Barbecue. And also this year we've got a pairing Kingfish Sashimi and a Huia Lager from Kainui Brewery. They're coming up from the Niwa, the Kingfish are, from the Niwa Kingfish, they're farming it down there. There are lots of local staff and suppliers, lots of hireage from all the local suppliers, Kirikiri Hire, Kaikohi Hire. Yeah, so that's where we're at basically. It's a bit of a tough year. So Northland Inc. supported us with $35,000 last year from their Northland Event Fund. This year they've dropped that to $20,000. We did apply to the Far North District Council Events Fund. Unfortunately, we didn't get any support from that. I know there's a lot of, they're oversubscribed and there's a lot of people asking, but it is really driving economic impact in the town and in the district. And so we think it's a great sort of payback to our local commercial ratepayers and everything as well, in terms of the return they're getting it. We're aiming for 2,000 tickets again. We're aiming for more of that, of course. If we do more, we're going to actually open up the stage. And last year we had a nightclub in here, believe it or not. There was a stage down there and DJs. And this time, if we can exceed our ticket sales, we'll actually put that in on the stage so we can up the capacity. Yeah, so that's a little overview. Any questions? It covered some of our time and a little bit of venue hire and Tyler's time. It was still working for, probably minimum wage in terms of it, but it did break even and put a little bit back into the centre and into the event manager. Well, yeah, if you put in our time, it's nearly covered that, yeah.
I'm not putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. What's capacity here, maximum capacity?
So down that end is 970. In here you've got 150. In the theatre you've got 400. So all up probably safely, 1,500. but we've limited it to 1,000. We had 800 at one of the sessions last year, and it felt good, but if we were to open the stage as well, then that would add to that.
Just so I can clarify that in my mind. Not terrible at math. 12, no, it's got to be more than that. How many staff on the night? How many are performers and staff versus patrons?
So I think there are probably around 50 staff, including the riggers from the breweries, including all the security and duty managers and venue staff.
So the rest is all paid customers.
And sponsors who sponsors.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Could you just explain how the alcohol sales work? Do you get a skimming off? Or?
Yeah, we take a percentage of them, which is kind of common in all of these sort of festivals. Yeah.
So this is based on last year's figures, is it? The alcohol sales amount of 24,000?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Is that hopefully going to increase if we have more people?
It does with more people, yeah.
So these are quite conservative break-even figures?
I think 2,000 is our break-even. That's
paying rather than non-paying.
Yeah, well, we're going to try and keep the non-paying ones down this year. Obviously first year you need to get them through the door, but
we've only got one sponsor, unfortunately.
Yeah, at the moment we're doing, we're lucky a couple of local legends have come on board, but they're basically buying kind of group tickets for their staff and teams to the event. So, yeah, it's a difficult year sponsorship-wise. I think most people are finding that around the clock, and same with grant funding as well. We appreciate it.
It's not easy saying no, I can tell you.
No, and
having been involved in some of those processes, it's
But we're working really hard to get those ticket sales up again. But I think all events are feeling it at the moment. We're noticing a lot of last-minute sales here at the centre. But yeah, that's the nature of it. But we're going to work hard. We want this to become an annual event. The general feedback is it's really great to have something during the winter when there's not a hell of a lot else on of this type of event, and it's really getting those people from out of town and local businesses as well.
July being off season is difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult to create events during the off season actually.
One thing we've done is worked with Northwell and if you've had a chance to look at the website, and we've put together like recommendations for the weekend for people to do while we're up there. They're up here, so we're working with Explore out in Paihia, giving away some like trips to the Hole in the Rock, etc., to really encourage people to make a weekend out of it, to visit the other local hospo spots, and there's still so much to do during the winter. We're not just a summer destination.
And are you shuttling from outer areas?
We did have shuttles last year. It's one of those things in social media and requests in advance of the event. Everyone asks about what are the transport options, and then you put them on and very little people actually take them up. So we think the best thing is to have a couple of shuttles here for people who haven't pre-organised transport, so that they're not left either without transport or risking anything. But also, we work really closely with the local police, who brought a lot of extras into the area for the weekend as well, but just to make sure we're really driving those comms around, having a ride organised, having sober drivers, etc. And they were amazed at how well it was run. And they said over that weekend they think there was one or two DUIs, but they weren't associated with brewer violence. And over the 2,200 people, only 2 people were asked to leave because they were intoxicated. So that's a pretty good, that's less than a pub on a normal Saturday night. So we're proud of that.
You obviously weren't selling enough booze.
What's that, Lane?
You obviously weren't selling enough booze.
You've got to be responsive. It's not a booze up, it's a tasting experience, and that's how we're marketing it,
I thought you needed a bit of that. I thought you needed a bit of that, to be honest.
Okay, no further questions?
Okay.
Right, you know how we work. Someone will pop downstairs later and let you know when we're just...
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, and good luck for the rest of your day.
Thanks, Jerry. And you can come back to the table, Tyler. Thank you. Right, so that's all our speakers for the day. So with that, we'll move on to item 6.1, confirmation of the minutes. I'll move that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of April 2024 are a true and correct record. Do I have a seconder?
Yes.
Thank you, Larry. Any amendments?
There's a minor typo.
You found a typo?
I found a typo.
We got them all.
I read it. Thank you, Joe. That's okay.
What page?
I'm sorry, I'm scrolling back now. It's events. It's event.
Oh, it was in the resolution.
Yeah.
And the events?
Yeah, but event rather than event.
I sent it through to you as well.
The published minutes that has been. Oh, okay.
What item was it?
It's item 5.
Item 5.
That's what my own mistakes.
The recogniser and brackets
Yes.
and the speakers.
Through the chair, Jackie burst into tears when we granted her that last night. She was very happy.
Okay. Any other amendments? No? Put to the vote. I move, Lane seconded, those in support? Against? Carried. Okay. So moving on to item 7.1 on page 29. Chairperson members report that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the reports from Chairperson Belinda Ward and member Jane Hindle. Thank you, Bruce. Seconder? Tyler, thank you. I'll take mine as read, unless there's any questions. Some of the REPs are being worked through and partially resolved, but not completely. So thanks, Kim, for the work you're doing on those.
Madam Chair, we'll have a celebration when Shippies is finally removed.
Shippies, I can actually comment on that because it's out in the public arena, but according to the website, Tri-Oceans, they have purchased chippies, and I'm really, really disappointed that the community have not been involved, particularly Hapu around there in the decision-making process. And I would dearly like to know from Regional Council. I did email last year and didn't have a response from our 2 representatives for Regional Council. They were having their own in-house issues going on at the time, and it was overlooked. So I think all we can hope for at this point is that we have some communication over what happened, and they have actually agreed to talk and work with Hapu, which I think is a bit late. We normally do that prior. But in saying that, they may have had discussions with the Marae Chair, but I'm not aware of what's gone on through the process. The other point, I think the main point now is to determine whether or not there were so many breaches of the existing lease that it would be interesting to know whether or not, I think it expired in March 2028. Don't quote me on that, I haven't got the document with me, but I'm interested to know, as are the members of the community, as to whether or not they have just sold the remaining term on the lease, or whether there's been a variation to that, to the consent, or whether or not a new consent has been issued, which could have medium to long-term impact on the desires in the community to remove the ship and return that to public open space. So that information on sale has come out of, and it shows shippers if you want to look up the Tri-Oceans website.
I just did.
And
I just did. I wasn't sure who they were, so I just had a quick look. So can you just clarify for me, is this freehold title?
no, it's a seabed lease.
It's a freebid.
Yeah.
I know from the management plan that Waitangi Rai, the Karamata of their committee, they were very concerned and keen to see that ship. So we're interested to see what.
I've had numerous contacts, and some of you would have noticed Facebook page comments over the last year or two with the deterioration of since February last year, I think it was, with the deterioration of the vessel, particularly all the planks coming off on the port side of the ship. It's terrible. Every time we have a blow or a storm, bits of blue timber are washed up on Titi Beach and various environments. So there are a lot of breaches, and it's been very difficult to deal with it, because obviously as a community board chair, it's not really our duty of business to deal with regional council consent issues, but it would have been good to have some feedback and to have been involved in the process to take the community along with them. The intent of what's going to be done, which is shown on the website with the ship, is actually really good, but that's not the point. The point is, it's sat breaching a number of conditions, I should say, in the consent. So that's the update, and when we managed to find out what regional council has, so the ship's been sold, what regional council has granted, then we will be in a position to answer some of the community's concerns and queries. In the meantime, hopefully they will do some effective engagement with the locals, albeit a bit too late after the horses bolted. So, yes.
Forgive me for maybe not paying attention. The ship has been sold, or the lease has been sold.
The claims that they have purchased, I think, is the wording on the website. So
the new ownership, Madam Chair, yes. Tri-Oceans proposed to reopen the TUI as community space, classroom facility, and marine education centre.
That's it would suggest the lease and the ship.
That's right. Which is, yes, which is unfortunate.
So the consensus with regional council, and the vessel was sold privately.
And who owns the lease? The lease is owned by?
It's a CV lease with Northern Regional Council. So this is what we don't know the details of, what's been transferred, or Teresa's consent it was buried a few years back, and the community has been waiting for some action in relation to all the complaints about the vessel and the breaches, particularly the environmental breaches. So with that, I guess we will just move on and wait and see what transpires out of this. But it is, from a community perspective, in such a sensitive area, and the discussions we had, I know the open spaces strategies and policies and community plans and things, there has been a pushback for quite some time to remove the vessel. So all I can express is the community's concerns around wanting to reinstate that as local public open space to enable business opportunities for local Papua and moving forward. Okay, so that's the latest. I haven't been informed of all this, it's just I had found it on the website, yeah. But I have been working behind the scenes, waiting for a response. So we'll dig and delve as much as we can.
Madam Chairman, just for the record,
yes.
Can I ask another question? I apologise.
Might not be able to answer it.
Well, in that case, I'll reverse it. To have access for that boat to work, for that facility to work, they have to have land, they have to have a parking lot, and they have to have somewhere to put the gangplank there.
That's right.
Who controls that space?
Yeah.
That
is it does come down onto formed legal road. It's just outside our reserve boundary here, and there is no agreement that I can find in relation to the sealed area car parking in front of the ship. So Barnard District Council does have interest in this, as we say, the gangplank sits on our land. So whether it's with NTA and the Road Guru.
I wasn't going to speak to that point, Madam Chair.
It's all right.
But my concern is that regional council, without being overly critical, do and have granted consents for significant infrastructure to occur within their jurisdiction, and I accept that is their right to do so. But there are onshore-based implications that fall within the jurisdiction of the Far North District Council that are often not considered. The most classic cases being marinas, where suddenly we're required to retrospectively come in and address car parking issues, rubbish, water, litter, all manner of public lighting, public safety, all manner of things. But I think when applications like those are made, there needs to be both parties at the table so that incremental effects can be considered by all parties. And I think it's probably worthy of being minuted as a follow-up to the Far North District Council Chief Executive to consider if there are actions that we should be taking in this space. I can't speak specifically to the roadie because this is all news to me, but I'm just mindful that for all the years I've sat here, retrospectively trying to address very expensive fixes for decisions that are made outside of our purview is difficult for the ratepayer, difficult for our organisation, and really would like to find a better process.
And there is a landed impact. As Lane says,
this is not the first one. You go to Windsor Landing, where the regional council are putting down some 200 swing moorings with literally no land-based facility. And when I went 3 years ago and questioned them on it, they laughed and said, oh, they'll probably do some cruising, which has turned out to be correct. Or they park on the very limited space of Windsor Landing, which is not in any way adequate for 200 swing moorings. So I would just like to support what I'm saying. But I think it should, Madam Chairman, I think it should be minuted and it should go to our CEO, because I'm in this business with that boat. I mean, I have some personal opinion about the boat, but it's one of these areas where somebody's just done a lease and sold the boat, and the boat can't exist without land.
And that's the issue, and it is stated that they're an educational facility, so if they're going to be dealing with children, they're going to be bringing buses, there's going to be, traffic safety issues. There's a lot that we haven't had input into, and I don't believe it's just the board, because as I said, it's not actually really our issue with regard to the regional council business. It's the landward impact and the community, and you couldn't find a more sensitive community to actually not fully consult with, in my view. So we'll let that lie. Have you made some notes on that? Okay. And should we discuss that when we do our action sheet? Yeah. No. Right, so here's your update. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, Roddy's not here, but he is aware of some of what's going on because I had messaged him, but he can listen back anyway to the recording. Okay, Jane, your report.
Any questions? A big part of my month was spent on placemaking. Yes. And LTP.
I poked my head into the shop, placemaking shop, when I went over to Russell but it had just closed. And yeah, there was definitely a lot of sticky notes around the wall that looked like a huge success. So hats off to you for driving that one.
We had nearly 600 suggestions on the sticky notes, and we had 195 responses to the survey as well, and that's all being analysed. And yeah, everybody. What was interesting was that people started off shouting, and then as we moved through the 10 days, people started to think about things, and the respectful conversations that took place were really encouraging. It's good. In fact, it was probably the best consultation we have had in Russell. The last time that the council came to Russell, they had a town hall meeting, and they literally got shouted off the stage. It was a horrible, horrible event. And this time we took a lot of care to make sure that council staff were treated as knowledge experts, not there on behalf of the council, but there to inform. And people were, again, very respectful. I think people were genuinely wanting to find out stuff. Even on climate change, the conversation was productive, and Katie went away with some thoughts from some of our communities. So it was a really multi-leveled success. Yeah.
Any questions for Jane? Tyler?
Just around that mobile food licence that happened on the wall, did you get any sort of response around how that happened?
Have you asked them? Yeah. Should we chase them up?
Yeah.
Let's chase them up, because it was wrong.
Yeah.
It was really wrong.
Yeah.
And lots of angry people. So we should maybe just check what they do and why they did it.
What was the vehicle?
She had a little cart with, and she's making French baguettes, ham, cheese and stuff, and she was parked right outside the Paul Square on the road, and the licence wasn't approved by the district council for a mobile licence, selling food right opposite two cafes.
Did she have a licence?
She had a licence issued
Yeah,
by...
so I think when it comes to those shopkeepers, hawkers licences, the stipulations are in certain distances.
Yeah, 400 metres.
Yes, but generally the wording is such that their main product, be it fruit, juice, wine, type of food, if they're not selling those particular exact products, then they probably would issue something. We've had this
Cheese and ham rolls opposite the cafe, so cheese and ham croissants.
Yeah, so there's obviously a bit of a poach going on there. But again, we shouldn't assume until we know what the licence was for and the area that they were. If they've been given a licence, then perhaps the staff member who issued it wasn't aware of the surrounding businesses. So we need to escalate that and try and find out. I didn't see it in here on the left, by the way.
She said it was really cold and windy, and she was issued a licence on the wall, which isn't even council jurisdiction, which was interesting, because that's actually part of the Sultans.
Okay, can I have a question about your report?
Yes, sure.
The resource consent that you're referring there for 1526 State Highway 10 Kirikiri, is that the one at Redwoods, or is that the one?
That was the Redwoods one, and it's at the time I did my report, it was gone. I think we were in Kaitaia at our combined community board meeting that day when they had the hearing.
I made some inquiries about that because there was a press release that came out saying that this was a great thing for Kirikiri and we all need more hospitals and medical care facilities. I can't find a single person in the medical profession that knows anything about that at all. So I'm just a bit concerned whether or not we're checking, and this is no slight on the effort, because it may be something that I've just missed, but it would be really important to me that we understand that. I think I'm mindful that we're not streaming, so I don't want to go any further with this conversation. It's just that I would like some more clarity from anybody who does know anything about this, if they could let us know, because we do need more medical facilities. And Kiri, but I'm mindful that I write the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the public arena.
Thanks, Anne. Yes, and I don't think we had any members available that day, including yourself, to actually attend that hearing. And that is another thing, I guess, that needs to be addressed, excuse me, is that when these hearings are held and they are of high community interest, that it shouldn't clash with our, with your meetings and with our combined community board meetings or our formal meeting day. So,
These are
to enable the subdivision representatives to be present.
These are of super high interest, and I'm also mindful that there's another one proposed to go on the other side of the Kirikiri roundabout as you get towards Phil or Scorch. And again, I'm just getting a little bit of trouble getting some clarity on. It would be really nice if we could hear from the Ministry of Health about what is the grand plan for improving medical care facility for people in the area as a collective. I don't want to say any of these are not legitimate, they probably all are, but I just don't have clarity.
So the one by the old Orange Centre, that's the new hygienist, I think.
Yes, there's a sign that's gone up that said it's the Smile Clinic.
Yeah.
And then I read in the paper about the relocation of used to be called TMG.
Yeah, it's TRG, the radiography.
TRG imaging.
There in the next month.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And that they were going to add, and that there were going to be further medical facilities provided behind. And it just seemed to me that there's a disconnect, that we have two facilities that are very, very close under separate ownership, both delivering the same. I'm not sure that's good planning. That's just my observation.
Madam Chair, I had two approaches from ratepayers with regards to the congestion, possibly of parking and access to those items, and I was unable to go to them. And I'm not sure whether they did. And I may be without the information, but I always believed that medical centres were somehow coordinated through the health department or whatever else. It is becoming obvious to me that they are not. They are almost commercial operations, and forgive me if I'm saying the wrong thing, but they are developments done by developers who want to build a medical centre. I'm not sure there is any coordination with the National Health Department, which came as a surprise to me. I would have thought that it would. One of our local developers who's just left the district, various reasons, was trying to do a medical centre in town and would complain to me on a regular basis about the bureaucracy and everything else. But it wasn't bureaucracy with the National Health Service or anything, it was with council.
I'm not disputing the need for these things. I just believe that there needs to be a coordinated approach that considers co-location, accessibility, parking, having a lot of traffic turning in and off of a state highway. I'm not sure is prudent. Have the road in. All of these things will be considered at the resource consent. It's just, I'm just having trouble getting information, that's all. To get it from.
So there's clearly a purpose-built fit-out, so they knew in advance what was going to be going in there, and perhaps we transferred that, I don't know. But that's happened in the past, hasn't
it? Sorry, madam, if I could just take a minute. So I think someone goes to the doctor and they said, I've fallen down the stairs and I think I've broken my ankle. They said, well, you need to get an x-ray. So you've got to get from a medical clinic in Kirikiri now up to State Highway to have an image. Now, if that image requires something else, then you're going to have to get in your car and drive down to the facility that's going to be built at Redwood, potentially. And they might all write reports and then put you back in your car and send you all the way back into Kiri to your GP, who will look at all the reports unless it's a more significant event and you've been taken straight to hospital. I don't think that's smart planning. That's my personal view. So I just interested to know a bit more, because as our population ages, we need to consider, particularly in Kirikiri and in Doubtless Bay, accessibility. And I'm not sure that those things are always considered.
Interesting discussion. Imaging and hygienist is an interesting combination. Right, thank you for that, Anne. Anything further on Jane's report?
Just on Jane's report, Madam Chair, the big bold print, which clearly is expressing Jane's frustration. I know you're working with Kim. We had a fantastic presentation this morning before you got the tail end of it. I'm sorry, CEO on RFSs, and we're all experiencing different frustrations at different times with RFSs that seem to stagnate. I think they need to be escalated to the general manager.
They're sitting with the general manager.
Okay. And then if they're still stagnating, then we need to escalate them to the CEO. Not that I want him to be overwhelmed with RFSs, because that's not his job. Clearly, if the RFS system isn't working, we need to tell him that it's not working.
It certainly seems to be a bit dysfunctional at the moment, particularly with closing RFSs before the work is done, and then the work doesn't get done, and you get some very frustrated people in town who see the people fixing something somewhere else and going, why aren't they fixing the other things at the same time? And we did have somebody that came and saw us in the pop-up welcome was there, just so that they could understand the process from a council perspective. And it's quite clear that the process is broken.
I would like to see big bold print and capital letters disappear from your.
Well, somebody just needs to give us some answers. Like, is this in the LTP? If yes, then great. You know, for all I know, the work could have been done. The work could have been done, but they just don't get back to you.
Okay, any further questions? Right, moving on. That was moved by Bruce, seconded by Tara. All those in support? Against? Carried. Item 7.2, funding applications. I'll take these individually, starting with first one, which is that the Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approved the sum of $4,217 plus GST that will be paid from the board's community fund account to Living Theatre Charitable Trust towards the cost for their jellyfish. Do I have a mover? Bruce and May, thank you. So they have requested $4,217 and the recommendation is for the full amount. Catherine, do you want to just comment on that?
Is there anything you need me to say? They have received some funding from the Kaikoai Hoki and the Community Board.
2,000.
Yeah, that's they're a frequent flyer. They were declined at Creative Communities last time round. Most of that came down to, we had about $55,000 worth of ask and $13,000 to grant. So, yeah.
So the 2,000 has been taken into consideration in this.
It has
received from the Kaikoai.
Yeah. Yes, this application was made subsequent to that one being granted.
Right. Thank you. Just any comments? Questions?
Well, I get quite excited about things like this when I just really feel it's quite another getting my age era. In other ages.
You remember the original book?
Pretty wacky sort of stuff, and I think it's great for kids to see wacky stuff. Yeah, last week warrant. I think I'll be lining up some grandchildren. But, support it.
Madam Chairman, I'm struggling with a number of applications between what is a charitable organisation or a non-profit and what has got a profit element to it. And that would be Consumer Centre or this or a number of others. And I struggle with which is taking precedent, the non-profit. I'm disappointed to hear that children's prices are somewhere on the average of $22 per child for an event. And I would, not to prejudge anything, I would have probably put a motion in to decrease it to $2,000. But I would be much more comfortable if we were actually funding X number of children to go and see it, as opposed to funding just the general expenses.
Through the chair, that was one of the conditions for the funding that was granted by Kaikouri or Kianga, was that it was that they were to do a certain number of tickets.
I'm heading in that direction, Madam Chairman.
Those just foreshadowing. Jane?
Through the chair, if we take our sort of wet finger approach of bang for buck, this is 400 children for X amount of money. So it's reasonable in terms of our kind of giving process. I'm pleased that there's going to be a reasonable number of kids involved. Yeah.
Now you make the point.
I'd be interested to hear more about what Kaikouri or Kianga did in regards to taking
Now, and it was something that Sarah, sorry, I was having a blank on her name, said that they'd already factored it in, that they were going to be doing, I think, 63 tickets across the ward.
3 tickets for children?
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on any criteria?
No, they were going to work with the schools on that one to do that.
kids who couldn't afford it, presumably?
Yeah, the board actually said, can you please work with the principals of the schools that are bringing children to do that.
So did they contribute anything towards the cost of the production at all?
Well, that was the $2,000 was just overall, and they had to make sure that they did do a certain number of tickets.
So it's underwriting the ticket sales.
So I'm hearing $22 per child. So Sarah said the range was $17.50 to $35. So what was the $17.50?
$17.50 is, hang on, I'll go from terms and conditions on that one. I closed it down again. So it's $35 for an adult, $30 for a senior, $27 for a child, and I believe the younger prices for the.
I just averaged the 17 and the 27 pounds.
So because I went in and had a look while she was talking. I think it was group discounts.
Jeez, I think they have like average budget for an individual show.
As secretary, am I allowed to shadow it?
Yes, you are. An amendment?
Amendment, could I do that?
Yes, you can.
I suggest that we put $1,500 towards the production and $1,500 towards children's tickets, for a total of $3,000. I'm noting that because we're a larger community than
Kaikouri or Kianga.
yeah.
You'll move this, you don't support it.
So that's 3,000. Whereas you're the original mover, you was correct? An amendment? Okay, so moved by Lane, seconded, moved by Corey, seconded by Lane. The amendment, which is $1,500 towards the production and $1,500 towards the children's ticket. Right? Any further discussion around that?
If we could just maybe clarify, like towards you know, an effort being made towards trying to provide those tickets for kids who otherwise wouldn't be able to come along.
I'm just worried that they need to work, they could work that as part of their association with the principals.
Yeah.
The principals know
Exactly, yeah.
Private kids are,
Just, you know, similar to what the other board have done, it sounds like. I think that'd be really cool to make it more accessible to everyone.
To ensure that. So you want to ensure that those underprivileged that would normally not get the opportunity to go?
That's what I think it would be best served for.
Rather than say underprivileged, if I say tickets to ensure children who may not otherwise have access to these tickets.
She might be a little bit still.
You give them the opportunity.
It's not even 3 years.
You know what I'm saying? We're all on the same page.
That's cool.
Right, so I'll read this out. That the Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approved a sum of $3,000 plus GST applicable to pay from the board's community fund account to Living Theatre Charitable Trust towards the cost of the Bad Jelly the Witch, and that $1,500 be allocated towards cost of production and $1,500 be allocated towards tickets to ensure children who may not otherwise have access to these tickets be given the opportunity to attend. Okay, so Bruce, happy with that? Lane the seconder, so I'll put the amendment. All those in support, the amendment? Again, so that's carried. So now that becomes the substantive motion. So I'll put that as a substantive motion. Bruce, Lane, second that. All those in support?
Abstention, please, recorded.
Thanks, Ian.
Because we had the same move and seconder, we actually don't have to do a substantive.
Right, moving on to page 51. That the Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approved the sum of $3,500 plus GST applicable to be paid from the board's community fund account to the Tuna Centre towards the cost of Brood of Islands 2024. I'll move this to get on the table. Do I have a second?
You are allowed to stay.
Oh, really?
You can just abstain from voting. So move it. I'll second it.
I'd better get out of the room, Tony.
Line, did I get to the second one? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I know.
Sorry,
Ladies and gentlemen. The only comment that I have to make about this application is, well, I think it's great that it's in the off season and it actually coincides with Mataruki. Let me just find the page that I wrote on again. There wasn't a lot of support for this inaugural event, if I recall, because it was an alcohol-based event. We weren't sure how it was going to go, and we didn't feel it sat well with the well-being of our community from the perspective of it, encouraging the consumption of alcohol. I feel since the inaugural event, the event organisers and the 50 staff involved in it have proven that it was a very, very successful event and it could be grown to something special in our off season. And I feel that the beer drinking side of it is something that wasn't really portrayed to us of how the event was going to operate when it first came to us. So I'm just speaking in support of this round. Laying there seconder, you want to comment?
The board is reasonably au fait with my incidents with the Turner Centre because of its where it sits with the council. I also have the same reservation when something is a proper activity and when it's a charitable event. Having said that, I think this is a terrific event and it is in the off season. It creates a lot of advantages for the community, accommodation, labour, and so I am in support of it.
In the showcasing local product.
Yeah, it's an event, and it's unfortunate. Well, it's not unfortunate, but obviously it creates some issues with regards to alcohol and all the rest of it, because we do balance that. We are on record as promoting water and events and all the rest of it. So I don't want to contradict that position, but I think it is hard to bring events to Northland. I would be much happier if it was Northland Inc. doing this event, but in the absence of someone else doing it, I think it's a worthwhile activity for the community.
Jane? Yes, I think the only reason this has landed on our table, quite frankly, is because of the lack of funding from major events funds and things like that. I was relieved to hear that actually it was a beer tasting event, and I didn't understand that last year, so that was good to hear that, and good to get feedback about the quality of the patrons from some of the breweries. And I hope next year some of the sponsors, of the people that benefit, can be encouraged to stick up their hand and maybe chip in, $1,000 per motel or whatever organisation. There's plenty of people who benefit from it who could potentially sponsor it. So I think on that basis, letting it go for another year with a bit of extra help is good for the district, and worthwhile. So I'm in support.
I'd echo words of yours and Lane's. I had concerns again about alcohol. I heard about very good presentation from Jerry, and it's on the right over. So the analysis of patrons, no desires for it.
Just like to point out, they did ask for $8,500 in their application, and the recommendation is for $3,500. I don't think we asked the question of Jerry as to whether or not it would still be able to go ahead and be such a success with that shortfall of funding.
Chair, I crunched the numbers, and I think they've got some wriggle room in the ticket sales and alcohol sales. I think we are really underwriting it to make sure that they've got the confidence to go ahead. I'm hoping they'll do over 2,000 ticket sales. I'll do my bit to promote it.
I'm not trying to put words in Jerry's mouth, but I don't think they lost money last time.
That's right.
I'm not there. Lost the word. So I'm comfortable with the 3.5.
It is our duty to see that I feel that we fund as a success. That we're not throwing away ratepayer dollars, so I'm glad that your local event was a success, because some events take years to get off the ground, so they're obviously very well managed. And would you like to make any comment, or are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining, but just for clarity, Madam Chair, I have stepped down as chairperson of the District Liquor Licensing Committee.
Yep, sure.
I no longer have a conflict.
Thank you. Right, with that, I move loan seconded. I'll put it to the vote for $3,500 for the Turner Centre towards the cost of Brew of Islands 2024. Those in support? Thank you, that's carried. Right, moving on, page 57. We have an application for $2,266 plus GST applicable to be paid from the board's community fund account to Ngāti Rahiri Māori towards the cost of Whananga Matariki 2024. Do I have a mover? I'll move this to get it on the table and second that. No?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jane. The reluctancy around this that I'm sensing. I think I've said all I need to say about it. I think Wariti answered a few of the queries that I had, that it's just taking the 8 of the main Kaumatua queer over to open only, and up to, is it both Whangaroa and open only? Yeah. Over that Matariki, to celebrate the lives of those two.
Through the chair, I will say I did find this a very difficult recommendation to make, so it was just trying to find something to at least get it on the table for you.
Appreciate that, thank you. Discussion?
I would have to talk to mine.
Yes, Jane?
I don't think it fits within that criteria that we have set ourselves in terms of the matrix that we have where we tick in terms of the number of people, the community benefits. And whilst I would love to help them, I don't think this fund is the right place for them to come for support. I think there are other more suitable funds for them to apply to. It's wonderful that they feel that they can come to us, and if it was something that was more outward facing, I think we could. Yeah, but this is not a community board type of funding application, unfortunately.
So if there's no more discussion, I'll put this to the vote. So I move Jane seconded for $2,266 to Ngāti Rāhui Māori Committee towards the cost of Runga Matariki 2024. Put your hands up if you're in support. No, that fails. Any abstentions? Yes, and abstain. Right, moving on, our final application is for $2,000 plus GST if applicable, we paid from the board's placemaking fund account from script to screen towards filmmaking workshops. Over mover.
Get it on the table.
Fine. Seconder. Thanks, Carla, for the discussion. I didn't know it being placemaking, so I'm not sure what it is. Before we discuss this,
Chair, I didn't mean it to be a placemaking.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, hang on a minute, what? Sorry.
It's a bit better with me there.
Yep. No, that should have been community grant, not placemaking. My apologies.
See what it was.
Right, moved by Lane. Any comments about this?
I struggle with it. I get it on the table. I'm not sure. It's that, once again, it's that line between what is a non-profit, you know, and it seems every production company that is for profit has another arm that is a charitable trust. Which makes sense.
Through the chair, my concern is really calls for 20 kids. It's just a film directing course, and I see no benefit to the community in us funding this.
Yeah, sorry through the chair. I mean, I'm similar to Jane. It's partially for adults, but I don't think we should necessarily be funding adults going on
the children's one, but it's 20 kids.
Yeah, and what's the bank back in there? Yeah. All the odds.
Can I just had a query for you over the start and end date? It's going to start, and it's already finished. 14th of the 7th, 18th of the 4th.
Yeah, they meant 18th of the 7th.
Pardon?
They meant 18th of the 7th.
They mean 18th of the 7th.
There's a 4 and a 7 on your keyboard or directly above each other.
That's fine.
I knew that.
You can see I did. It's okay.
Okay, no further discussion. By Lane, seconded by Tyler. All those in support of this $2,000, raise your hand. No, that's failed. And sustainer? Yes, thank you. So that is lost. I've been sitting for a while. Do you want a 10-minute break? We'll be happy to. Yes,
Yes, please.
Thank you. Nicole, on the live stream, we're just going to have a comfort break. Can we end the live stream, please? Thank you. Item 7.3, recommendation that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the project reports received from 1 Busy Bees to Kirikiri Work Jam 2024. Thank you, Bruce. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I note that the Busy Bees have a Facebook page. Catherine, can you ask them to friend us and so we can tag them, please? And tag us through Facebook.
We received no acknowledgement email from them for Wanda.
Well, they acknowledged the Whangaroa Community Board on our Facebook post around the time, but we weren't aware. So it'd be good if they became friends with us and then they could tag us as well.
And if you look at page 78, because I didn't see that, I don't recall that. It says no marketing, we have acknowledged that on our Facebook post around the time of the reason the wall purchase for the round. Okay.
So they obviously did a Facebook post
They did
about
something
it.
that we didn't see. Or I didn't see.
Yeah, so if they like us, then they can
Sure.
tag us.
Okay.
Thank you, Catherine.
Right. Moved on, seconded, Bruce. Any further discussion? All those in support? Carried. Thank you. Just jumping ahead of myself now, we move on to item 8.1, Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Hall Annual Information 2022 to 2023. Recommendation, I will move that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board receive the report, Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Hall Annual Information 2022 to 2023. Can I take a second there? Thank you. We've got the report writer in the room. Michelle, did you want to speak to this at all?
Chair, so this is my first time doing this report. I believe that it should be done annually. Whether it has or hasn't been, I'm not entirely sure. Sorry. So the community halls, as per the community halls policy, are required to give us each year their annual report that contains all the financial statements, statistical data, and any information that they want to give us. We are going to make some amendments to the letters for next year, where we can invite them to talk to the community boards if they want to, so they can talk about their halls, boast about them, explain what they spent money on them. But going ahead, I would like to know what you want to hear from this report specifically, so that next year I can do better for you.
Okay, thanks, Michelle.
I think the verbal would be great, because we have a passion with some of these committees that are running these boards. So, there's one missing that I see the Whangaroa board. So there's confusion about it. Kaia Memorial Boards, Whangaroa Memorial Board and Kaia versus Whangaroa.
Which is opposite the Game Fish Club ground in Whangaroa.
It's a very, very historic building. It was and a very passionate committee. You've got to almost be a relation of theirs to be on the committee. It's hilarious. You hate AGMs, but I love going to that one. It's just meeting old whānau. It's terrific. So if they didn't send a report on Whanau, because they look after it all. So I think the verbal report on it, because they really do look after it.
That's nice to hear.
And the attendance is mostly a lot of local stuff, and so yeah, just really cool.
Nice.
I'm going here for the Whangaroa Village Trust meeting, and it's cold as chambers.
Well, that's all the heating too.
We have on here that the Whangaroa Memorial Hall did send back their report, but the Whangaroa Village Hall did not.
No, that's right.
Yeah. So we have sent out reminders, but whether they want to provide them, that is a different story.
I think it's really important that we, I think speaking with my chair hat on, it's really important that we actually make these halls accountable, because we are having a workshop later, but it's our responsibility as a delegation to oversee that these are being run correctly and to sit on those committees. So I feel if they're not going to be given reports, they run the risk of divestment, which is being discussed at council. They're looking at all our assets, and there's always that threat of halls either being removed or being sold, not necessarily the land. But I feel that we have to, there was some criminalities in our workshop later come up. I feel we need to, some of these reports are here are actually inadequate in my view. Some have gone to great lengths to run them like a business and be accountable for every dollar and every user group, and so they should be. So I think we need to look strongly at demanding, the council does it demanding those, particularly the evacuation reports, the health and safety reports, they're not all provided, and the lists of the user groups so that we can see how the hall is being run, who's using it, because we know like Waipapa gets used a lot for dance and all different sorts of dance things, you know, and that's great, and that might be the demand in that particular community, but to have the different users and how often they use them, so they're not monopolising that community facility and blocking out others. So if anyone wants to add to that.
I just have a couple of points. Firstly, the Tauai Hall appears to be missing from the list. It's community owned on community land, and it doesn't appear anywhere.
Same as Opal.
Opal is there, yeah, Opal is there, but Tauai is missing from the list of community halls, both in the strategy and on your report. So could you please add it, because they feature on the website. The second thing was I had a little bit of concern about the confidentiality of the phone numbers and email addresses of all the committee.
So just in the future when we share,
I think we should just let them out. Certainly the booking contact number, but when we do the workshop, I've got a fair bit of input for that.
So if we just go for Michelle's selection, we just go through those. So Whangaroa has
awesome.
Good old Mel John, isn't it? Really good report. I don't think it's done on the actual form that you send, but
we've noticed that when we send things out to the community, they either just send us in the information. Some fill out the forms, but some just send it in however they have it.
Probably not.
I think the form's very unuser friendly because you don't even send it as an editable PDF.
No.
You literally have to write on it.
Okay. So that you'll see all their warm mould certificates and what have you. I think it's a really good opportunity here too for the halls to actually share information with other halls, so that they have all that, like I know in play here, our memorial hall, inside the door there's a booklet and a leaflet, and it covers absolutely everything, like how many chairs, how many people are allowed in each room, and that can be copied. Health and safety issues, the civil defence, or appointing a person from every user group who knows the evacuation process is part of our duty. So I think instead of people going, oh no, we can't do that, it's too hard, and because of volunteers, it's hard, a lot of people don't know how to do things like that. So I think, we have a little fluoro vest and things like that in case of an emergency, but we can share that. So just so that council knows that, that can be replicated around our facilities.
And also, like the comment from Whangaroa Memorial Hall about the booking system and the website, we already use a booking system in Russell because Colette manages it, and it's quite expensive, so I'd like to give the option of all the halls looking at a booking system. Yeah, so there's economies of scale where we share a booking system.
I mean, the white one does this on
and
but it works.
It's good. You don't have to have stuff, but if you've got two people paying for a booking system, then you might want to. And the website as well. Should we go and do our own website, or could the council actually facilitate that and have an email address saying, russell.hall, things like that. So I think there's a lot to be covered in the workshop.
I don't believe our website is clear enough for who you contact when you come down to a hall, and that all the details are up to date. I don't personally like our halls pages. I thought they could give a lot more information.
And we can discuss that a bit later.
And you had your hand up. Yeah, I just, this is the revised capital works program and collected minutes workshop yesterday, and I just wanted to give you some comfort that Corio Hall roof is on there now. Whether it's survived, of course, I don't know, but it's on there now, $246,000. But I just, Madam Chair, I want to disagree with you, but I want to disagree with you in the nicest possible way. These are volunteers.
Yeah.
And I do not want to make this so onerous that we lose our amazing volunteers. So I'm happy to accept whatever report that they provide, and I don't want to come down heavy-handed on them and saying, this is not good enough, we want more detail. I think that we will run the risk of losing our volunteers. You've heard me talk before, I am the one-woman solo band that runs the Hungary Cemetery, and the reporting requirements are so onerous, I am seriously going to hand a whole shooting match back to council. I don't do it anymore. And I get this, that I have to provide audited accounts and all of this other stuff. And I do feel a little bit, hang on a minute, I'm doing this all for you. And here you are demanding audited accounts and how many people have been buried and have you complied with the Burial Information Act and all of that stuff. If we make it too hard, this will all come back in house and we'll have to do it. So I just wanted to say that I think that we should be regularly writing to these people and thanking them for their fantastic community service. How can we make your job easier? If there's things in here like this Whangaroa Hall Committee has identified the roof, but they've also identified the water supply as an issue, we need to pick that up and ensure it comes into the ear because we are responsible for those things. And one of the things I'm not sure is who is actually responsible for the building warrant fitness, because it's not clear to me at this point. I think it's council and evacuations.
I believe that's one of them, on the full committee.
So maybe we'll get to that in our workshop this afternoon, so we can have a clear demarcation about who's responsible and who's not. But I just wanted to say that, and I think that,
and I hear that about the
heroes.
Yeah.
And you mean there is no need for audited accounts? For
Yeah. That's
3 years.
I've got that down here.
Yeah, there is just no need for it.
But someone with such small budgets, there's no way that they could ever do an audit.
Yeah.
Just a bank statement, nice.
And that's the threat.
That's
That's the threat. Was not putting an adequate or not operating the hall for the community and making sure lots of activities and group users are there, because it's a risk that you take with council that they will divest those assets because they have to maintain them, the exterior. So
Whangaroa Village Hall is typical, just to say. Honestly, it's so funny because they're handing out cash. You say, oh, hang on, you owe some, I owe you some money for that one, don't I? So they're passing across there. It's hilarious, but it's all above board. You can see the way they are. I mean, it's but as far as auditing things, and yet they do look after me.
we can discuss that in the workshop into that. So I just wanted to look at the existing reports. Tyler?
I just think there's an opportunity for us to, particularly as we move forward with like our bi-monthly funding meetings, maybe in between times, maybe once a year, we could invite a hall representative to come here, provide them some morning tea, give them a bit of a personal thank you, maybe we could do Facebook thanks or whatever as well, and then that could be our occasion to then share information among those groups of representatives as to how they might be able to do their job.
Maybe volunteer agreements for those that really hard.
Yeah,
So certificates.
Yeah, exactly. Certificates show some love, but at the same time use that opportunity to then share information and make their lives easier in another way.
Yeah. Madam Chair, one of the things that occurs to me is these halls are owned by the ratepayers.
Yeah.
They're council property. And all we have to do is make sure that they are available to the community. And I think in most cases the committees make them available. I think there's a couple of instances where I think they become a little restricted. And so all we need to do, I think, is to make sure that the community knows that the facility's there and who could use it. And once we've done that, well, I think we've kind of covered our bases pretty much. I could have said that better, I think. But I worry sometimes if it becomes, you know, the ABC dance group apologies, or whatever, they decide that they're controlling the hall and it's only available to the ABC dance group. And I just do they become a little inclusive, a little restrictive in how they're doing it. That's my
Control. Anyway, we've had Whangaroa Hall, Waihi Hall, Memorial Hall. They're extremely thorough. They seem to have, you know, an expert in the accounting field and every other field on their committee at the moment, which we're really pleased to have.
They need some advice on that one, which you've got the evacuation. So that would be great if people, if we say everyone got together.
Oh, you mean you need advice?
Yes, just some of the halls. So I'll take up the elder on that one. See that not on.
Yeah, and a lot of those can be copied.
Can I say a couple from my ones on here? You're going to run through different ones?
Yep, just running through Russell Town Hall.
That was not a good report. We have months of reports with all the users, so this is a byproduct of a hard copy form that you can't edit, which is why it's been badly built in. So again, that leeway to
we make sure we send out a Word document.
Yeah, we have the hall is used every single day of the week and quite often twice a day. It's pretty well used.
It's just a historical building?
No, not particularly.
No, so it's just maintained in line with the heritage precinct.
Yeah.
Colours and things.
It was built in last century.
Do you know the classification? I'm surprised it's not historical actually. But anyway. So you're just building your own fitness, that sort of thing, which we'll talk to later. The next one was Total Remove Hall.
On that one, there's something on here I noticed, and I've asked for numerous times. They've got toilets, one male, one female, and that's it. Because the woman I complain like mad if they do all the functions, there's one toilet called exactly there on the bench. But yes, I mean, there's enough room to actually put another toilet in with the females one too, but somehow or other, I've almost given up asking for it to be looked at.
Still a cost and an increased operational expense.
Yes, I know, but I know that they look after the tourists, that's for themselves. So.
Sorry, which one are we on now?
Treasure and
when we go into a Whangaroa Memorial Hall in Kaio, things that have been mentioned in here is the roof, which is going to be quite a major. We actually did a meeting the other day with one of the staff and Marcus Jensen, who came up with some original ideas about why this leakage is there. So, quite honestly, to say technical, I couldn't even follow where it was all going. But yeah, he actually didn't think there was too much of a problem. We're going to look into one part of the look. It was very good, actually. You'll probably see that report.
Yeah, anything that is structural, so structural construction of new toilets, that will come to the asset managers and council, and then they will then.
But when they look at this report and realise that now it's in here, they will, that's good to do.
Anyway, they put a report in. I felt it was lacking in information, but they put one in, so good on them.
That's right. It was
Like
very
a
simple.
ball, just didn't have lists of the user groups was my main comment there. It would be nice to see who's actually using it, and I'm not sure whether, again, their evacuation plan.
Yeah, they've got the evacuation.
Do they have the one?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't there.
Well, those are just the debtors, I suppose, but yeah, they are effectively the users, yeah.
Anyway, no. Let's hope the building right process and all accessible, because that's what council does.
It does. So we organise the inspection, we carry out all the evidence for the fitness, we then provide it to the halls for them to put on display.
Michelle, can you tell me, I see here the one for Clayton and Whangaroa, and they do have experts. They're actually writing a depreciation list. Does the council require that? Are we actually going through and applying depreciation on something that was purchased yonks ago?
The whole commission, you know, the interior stuff,
Yeah.
they own and maintain it.
Oh, they own and maintain it, but I can't believe we would actually require a depreciation schedule. You know, the $25.56.
There is an accountant doing it.
Because she's pedantic.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, that's
We
fine.
don't
As long as we're
require
not-
Through the chair, where does Cherry Park House sit? Have they
I believe they're a hall, however, they have not been added to this list.
Yeah,
Are they a hall or are they a community centre?
I don't know.
And what is the difference?
Yeah.
I know.
I do ask this because we do have Amy who is appointed under the community halls delegations. So if she has been appointed under the community halls delegations, then it should be included as part of the community hall.
She's not here today. So.
I think we can, for the purpose of this report, we can treat it like a hall, make sure it's included in the next year. Because the information will be the same. I know we do their VWAS and everything. So I guess for this purpose, we can include it as a whole. Yeah.
I guess the only difference would be that their usage is limited to art groups.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe being generally available.
What about the dance groups?
Well,
Who does the BWAS? Do we get an outside company to
FICO does it.
run all? Oh, FICO.
We changed from Walmart to FICO last year. FICO provide a much better service than what Walmart did.
Okay, and Madam Arco, no report received from them since this was done?
No. We are only do a report, council owned on council land under the policy for a report that previously we've asked for it, but under the policy.
They do a report because they get a grant each year subject to the report they've received. So you would think that the report should come through.
Through the chair, that will come through in a separate report, but for this one purely, it's council owned buildings on council owned land.
So it's a council owned building, but they don't have to.
They don't have to report for this.
That's a little odd, but it is a little odd. Okay. Cool, moving on. The workshop list, so we won't dwell on it now. So, would I make point one move, myself seconded by Jane, and receive this and listen support? It's carried, thank you. Item 8.2. The Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board received the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board April open resolution sheet. Do I have a member? James, Bruce. So we've just got those two items there, haven't we? And you raised the off leash park the other day. I think one of their workshops or something. Do we have a staff member assigned to that?
It appears in our capital works, and until we have a location, I was querying whether or not we should be continuing to carry the budget forward. I know we need a dog park, and I would like to deliver a dog park, and we were looking to incorporate one as part of Te Waitangi, but it's one of those things where everybody needs it, but nobody wants it next door. Yes. So we do need to find a site or we will lose the funding. And I don't have an answer to that. And to be fair, it's not my job to find a site.
No, but it does beg the question, and what's Te Waitangi? Waitangi? It does beg the question that if the surplus land was to be disposed of, we need to ensure that we have, I think there's a couple of things we talked about today, that we may need land for, that we're not too, that we make sure we take a big enough slice of the cake of what we've got to create or develop future uses other than what's in the current. There was discussion around a dog area there, wasn't there?
In our concept plan, which extends to around 12 hectares, in future stages we've got provision for a dog park within our existing footprint. Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, I would like to keep the whole 40 hectares, and when I'm long gone and Kirikiri is much larger than it is now, there would be this amazing green
and
memorial park. Or, you know, I think I look to Auckland now and I think somebody gifted Cornwall Park, somebody gifted Victoria Park.
And the Anglican Memorial.
Who was probably lost in bits of time, but you know, somebody did.
Yeah, why not?
But then we just sat down, we started our annual plan process with a 33% rate rise. We got it down to 16.5, we went out and consulted on that. And as we go through the process that we're currently going through, as of yesterday, we were down to 8.5. Nothing's locked and loaded. I'm mindful we're live streaming, so please, nothing is locked and loaded here. So, but that comes with significant pain. I mean, some people are not going to get the things that they want, and some things are going to get deferred, and some things will get cancelled. And so getting realistic about Te Waitangi, that land was bought with Eastern Ward Reserve funds. It can't be sold and the money goes back to council slush fund. It can only be sold if the money is used for Eastern Ward Reserve purposes. We can't afford to do any more than what you currently see on the ground, which is 5 playing fields, half a car park and 2 long convolution blocks. But when we went out to consult with the public, we've got this wonderful concept and I want to build it. With all my heart and soul, I want to see the community have this big indoor stadium where they can play sports and recreate and have a dog park and all those other fine things. But we can't afford it as rates. So let's get real here. And the reality is that we're going to have to realise some money out of the surplus of that land that we don't need and reinvest it into Te Waitangi. But council has not committed to do anything beyond stage 1, which is what you say. First of all, we need to, and I have been working with the CEO and staff, and there will be a report coming at some point on first there needs a council resolution to go beyond what we currently see. That means finance has to look at it and consider all the implications. Sorry, I'm going down a big rabbit hole here, but they need to look at the implications of depreciation, maintenance, OPEX, how it's going to be funded, how it's going to be run, all of those things. I've got user groups chafing at the bit to be let loose to go and raise money to do future stages, but we just need to get that process tidied up. And there is a report that's currently on Roger's desk, it's in draft form, about options, potential options with the residual allotment. So, in regard to having a dog park there, it's still coming full circle. It is still there, but it would be some considerable time out, I think.
Without funding.
Well, without us dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's first. So what I'm mindful of is we get all excited, we get provincial growth funds, we go out there and we start a project, but we've got to consider, we've got to become more business-like. And we've got to have the final concept plan. Jane can probably articulate this far better than me. We've got to have the final plan. We've got to have the program business case, delivery business case. You've got to understand the financial implications. You've got to do all that before you start.
We're going to look at the cost of ownership. That's the big thing. The long-term cost of ownership, which is the key
And we
thing.
don't do that as a council. So what we did here, if I can jump even further down the rabbit hole and get myself really in trouble, we had a sports needs assessment done that said we needed 4 playing fields to accommodate football. That was, and so we set out to buy some land to build 4 playing fields to accommodate football. And then along the way, we bought this piece of land. It was more than we even needed. No one actually even considered what we were going to do with all the extra land. Then we went out and consulted with the community, and we've come up with this wonderful plan, and you've all seen it. And then Shane Jones, God bless Shane Jones, came along and gave us $2 million out of the Provincial Growth Fund on the proviso that we accommodated league. And then Envy came along and said, as a condition of the consent of the money, we have to have 5 fields, not 4. So we grew the project, so we now have 5 fields. But there's now an expectation in the community, and quite rightly, with some justification, the council is going to build this amazing indoor stadium that's going to be better than Kensington Park, and it's going to be a regional sports hub. Great, but what we did, we never planned for that. We never put money aside for that. We never had a council resolution that says we're going to do that. So I got myself a bit offside with the codes, but I had to say, stop, just stop. And we need to just press pause. We'll do all this, we'll get all our ducks in a row, we'll do all of that work that Jane just nicely said, but I don't know what she said because I've forgotten it already, but what Jane just nicely said, and get a resolution of council and start again. And if we do all that, then we can put the dog park there, but realistically, because we're just about to adopt our long-term plan and it's not in there, and it's a 3-year plan.
There was submissions to reinstate the money, I think, wasn't there, for it?
The money's still there, but I can't see us being legally able to plonk it on there for some years. So we need to find another site, and maybe we have to.
Madam Chair, the objections to the last location were from residents going, well, you're putting it at Pua Waitangi and that's just across the road. So they were all going, we don't want it near us because you're going to build another one over there, but if there's no one over there, then...
I think it actually, when the analysis was done, if I recall, it actually turned out that it wasn't to reserve.
Yeah, it was
Yes, it was to reserve.
Yeah, so it was going to make it too difficult to...
We would have to get a resource consent, which would have chewed up.
The Chair, is there any plan for the fields at base sports?
I wasn't going to raise sports.
No, I'm not raising base sports as base sports.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is there any plan for what happens to those 3 fields at base sports if football moves to something like that?
Football will move, Hollis Bowlers to Pua Waitangi. So that forms part of the report. So Guy, Roger, Got May and I spent a whole day with the people that are writing the report. 2 days actually, and we drove them all around. We looked at that site, we drove all over to Waitangi, we drove all around Kirikiri, so they could get a feel for the sport and recreational facilities that we currently have, the growth of the town.
Bearing in mind the slow domain lease.
Slow domain lease, no, we did not know that at the time.
2 years, 3 years.
So we need a comprehensive report about all of these things, and this is where angels fear to tread. I will tread very carefully in baseball because those are amazing people, and I'm not going to go in there heavy-handed. But we do need to have this conversation as a community. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was a really long speech and I didn't mean it to be, but
No, but we get the
it's not something.
In great defence of the people that try to do this, the codes, many of the people as dedicated and as committed as they are in some of the codes do not help the process. We sort of become very tribal for our codes, and
Many of us are
and it's unfortunate. And I understand their desire to look after their code, having managed one code in this community for a while. But it's sometimes not positive for a collective decision. That's just diplomatic or something.
So back to the dog park.
Maybe
we
we need to
have holes in dog parks.
more offline time.
Yes. And Kim, would you like to comment?
No, just to say that this brings us back to the dog park, and the dog park only as that is on your agenda.
So with that, it would be very helpful, I think, for the board to have a copy of the report, the analysis that was done on the locations, and if I recall, there's only 2 suitable locations.
Yes, Samurai and
Waikato. So can we look at the second option, or else we'll get on the report? Can we, no?
Yeah.
No option, no option, gone. Okay. Right. Here's our answer to dog park. It's not happening tomorrow, but it will stay on our resolution sheet for quite some time yet. And the second one is the reserve management plan. Roddy's likely to speak to that. But I can see
I'm in the community board.
that they are making progress there. The community pre-consultation has concluded. Formal consultations currently being planned with communication staff. And I've seen some wonderful Facebook pages that posts that Roddy's put up in relation to the tamariki and engagement that they did there. And it looks like they're having fun involved in the community, so that's great news.
Just on that,
yes,
we are unlikely to see a request for funding for placemaking prior to the end of this financial year. Is that correct?
Through the chair next year, we'll get one next month.
Yeah.
Because we have to assign you money, we have to have the paperwork to go with it.
Yeah. Right, so with that, moved James, seconded Bruce. Islands-Whangaroa Community Board received the Islands-Whangaroa Community Board April open resolution sheet. Those in support? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 8.3, statement of community board fund account as of the 31st of March 2024. Recommendation, I will move that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board receive the report entitled Statement of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board Community Fund Account as at the 31st of March 2024. Do I have a second? Thanks, Bruce. Catherine, this is very up-to-date figures, isn't it?
They're a month behind.
They're a month behind.
So if you're looking at what you have today, then it's top of my report.
Okay, right.
So that is always the most up-to-date figures.
Yeah,
through you, the chair, I think that report was actually accurate as of March, and unfortunately he didn't make the cut-off for reports for April, March or April, and that's why it's been included this month.
I know that there were issues with them doing their rollovers and that's why there were delays.
Thank you. The only query I had for that was on page 157, which was the funds not yet uplifted. The Russell Birdman for cost towards the development of the website. That was back in July 2023. I think, is that the correct time frame?
Yes, I thought that had been uplifted. I will double check with them. Thank you.
We made pay to check they actually need it.
Well, if it hasn't been uplifted by now, then
Birdman's in July.
yeah.
If it's going to, it could have been last year.
Yeah, this is last year. I just think it's too old and we need to rectify that before the end of the financial year. And if so, return that to our fund.
Yeah.
Thanks, Catherine. Any other queries?
Just for my clarification, so as of before the board made two recommendations earlier in the meeting, the board had $36,800 in the community board fund and $90,000 in the placemaking fund. That $90,000 committed to Russell or?
No, this is this year's.
What's the status of that, Catherine, if we reach the end of the financial year, which is imminent? What's the status?
Kim and I are working on this so that we'll be coming to the board next month with this is what you can put your money towards, because if it is not allocated in the June meeting, it's lost.
And there's something
that's my
Yeah, and finance, we've got new auditors and we have a lot more rules now that we have to comply with. So in the past, we would have been able to make a resolution committed to this subject to a funding application being received. Finance have now said no.
But again, we can discuss that.
Yeah.
Yes, we can discuss that.
We'll discuss that.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other questions about? No? Okay, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in support? Those against? Carried, thank you. And now we will move into public exclusion. Yeah. So I will move that we move into public exclusion so we can have a frank discussion in relation to item 9.1, which is the new lease request over 195 Whangaroa Road, here for job complete. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Lane. And can we have the live streaming paused, please? Thank you.
Gosh, is it 1:25?
Good afternoon, our comms team. We are ready to go back into public now, please.
We're going to move this. Oh, sorry. Can we move this stays in public exclusion, right?
Yeah.
Thank you to those who have been waiting online. We have finished our business of public exclusion and we are now ready to close our meeting. Thank you everybody who joined us today and the members of the public and those who are awaiting the outcome of their funding applications. And we look forward to hearing and seeing from you next month. With that, I'll ask Member Jane Hindle to close with a karakia, please.
Inoi tātou. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa. O te atapai o tō tātou arehi ihu kraiti. E te aroha o te atua. Me na whiwhina tahitanga. Te wairoa tapu. Ake, ake ake. Amen.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Harley. Ready to close off now. Thank you.